All right, guys, welcome back to Vehicle View. Today we're in a 2016 WRX STI. I'm sure you heard a lot about this car. There's plenty of videos on the internet, so we're not going to go over all the technical specs because there's probably at least 20 videos on YouTube right now you can go watch to learn about that. We're going to be giving you some of our impressions and kind of our opinions about the car, what we think, what we like, some of what we don't like. We know this is a great car, so we're going to get right into the video. I know you guys see these at a lot of car meets. I'm sure you're wondering, just like we are, why are these cars so popular? Everyone has a WRX or STI, and we know Subaru makes great motors, whatever. We want to know why they're good, so let's get right into it.
I've always been a Subaru fan, not like a crazy, hype beast, but I've always loved the company. I've always loved the WRX and Impreza, variants. The one thing I love about the Subaru is they decided on the STI variant to throw the fat wing in the back. That is the one thing that I love. A lot of people, may hate it. Some people spec it without. I honestly wouldn't, but I love it. It's just something different. You don't see that from a lot of manufacturers. They'll put the little, lips or, whatever you want to call them, but, something like this just stands out, especially on the STIs. So the wheels that came on the limited STI here, they don't look cheap at all. Honestly, Subaru did not cheap out with the looks. In my opinion, they look amazing. The one thing that I would change going towards like your wheels and all that is the fitment. I feel like these cars come not too high, but like high enough to like where it's really noticeable. And I feel like with a good set of like coils or springs, you'd be fine. I feel like it would make the car look better. The car is spec'd right now at the crystal white pearl or whatever you guys want to call it. Honestly, in the sunlight, I feel like it's beautiful. It was something that if I was spec'ing my car, yeah, I'd choose it. But the one color that I've loved from Subaru was the, I think it was the Hyper Blue. I believe so. And I know they only made a run of 700 of those, but if you could still spec the car today in that color, I definitely would 100%.
So talking about powertrain, this car makes about 300 horsepower and just short of 300 pound-feet of torque while weighing about 3,500 pounds. That equates to a great streetable car with very usable power and a whole lot of fun on the road, which is what people buy these cars for. People buy them to build them, track them, but the average person isn't going to go and do that. So it's a great setup to have fun, feel like you're in a race car, but also have the daily drivability of a normal car. Now, that's not to say this car is all comfort. This is the STI, which is the upgraded performance version of WRX. So even in the normal driving modes, it's definitely still very aggressive. You can feel the heavy steering. The suspension is very tight. And this car specifically has an aftermarket short shifter, which adds to that aggressive experience. So for the buyer who wants a daily driver that feels more racy, that is a little harder to drive, this car does have a very sensitive clutch and gas pedal. That kind of all adds into that visceral experience of having a car that is fun to drive, isn't for everyone. Only comes to manual, but you kind of feed into that purest kind of form of driving. Someone who wants that driver's car, someone who wants that performance car, and honestly, it's a great building platform, and that's what Subaru really is known for. This boxer motor, the one in the STI, is older, but it is a great motor to build up, make big power. All the time on the internet, you'll see 700 wheel horsepower, WRXs, STIs of almost any year, because it's just a great platform.
The stock exhaust that comes on this, it does justice. You hear that natural Subi rumble. On this car, the owner's actually spec'd it with the titanium NVIDIA exhaust, except the only difference between the regular and his is that everything's pretty much cut off. And honestly, it just helps, get that sound that everyone expects from a Subaru. From the new body style that came out in 2015, I feel like the one thing that stood out to me most was the way Subaru went about with the front headlights. I feel like they look very mean compared to the older rounded ones. They looked good, don't get me wrong, but it just, in my opinion, these more boxed like headlights, I feel like they look way better than previous versions. Especially, I've seen a lot of wrapped cars, have that black little eyelid under, and I feel like that really makes the front end look so crazy. Moving into the interior, there's a couple things that I personally love driving this car. One of them would be the flat bottom steering wheel. that I feel like is a must in a lot of cars today. I don't like the whole round, and especially the way that, you know, the steering wheel is like shaped to fit my hands, you know, perfectly. My thumbs feel great, you know, everything feels fine. You know, it's not like a lot of cars, like some BMWs, I feel like their wheels are too slippery. This car, I feel like it's perfectly, at least the steering wheel wise, they made it perfect. They engineered this really good. Another key aspect is the not the infotainment center, but one of the screens right in front of me that's displaying, you know, it's pretty much boost gauge. And, you know, some car enthusiasts like me, you know, would appreciate something like this. And I'm glad that Subaru, you know, embedded it into the new body, but, you know, into the WRX STI.
As I talked about earlier, this car is very aggressive. You can feel it all the time, which is something I really like. Like I said, it's a little hard to drive right, as you probably saw with my shifts back there. I'm not very good at it yet, and I typically can pick up cars pretty quickly. But, you know, this car definitely offers you a different driving experience than other cars. I think it's, like I said, it is on the more aggressive side for its price category and stuff. And, you know, you definitely get a different kind of power build. You are having a turbo, and you have a slightly older motor. So the way the power comes on is, at least for me and Chris's feeling, a lot different than what we're used to. But once you get into the 3,000 range, when the boost really kicks in, this car flies. I mean, I raced it against my GTI. If you guys watch our vlog, you'll see that clip. I get, you know, absolutely smoked, and I thought my car was faster just because it feels more torquey. Obviously, I know the stats, but it's interesting to kind of see that, because you get a car that feels different due to the lower torque feeling, obviously a higher torque number. But like I said, you still have a very fast car for a daily driver. Oh, now I gotta go. To get into a few cons of this car, you have the all-wheel drive system, which suffers from poor fuel economy. If you're driving perfectly about 23 miles per gallon on the highway, I don't think anyone gets that, because it's really hard to drive this car normally. But also you have, you know, you do have an older motor in here, so you're not getting the, you know, most current, you know, fuel technologies. But like I've said, that's not what you're buying this car for. You know what you're getting into. You're getting into a fun car. No one cares about fuel economy. This may just be my personal skill or Chris's personal skill. This car is a little harder to drive, and I think it is a little purposeful from Subaru. They want it to be a little special. It only comes in manual, so that kind of bars out a lot of people in our generation, because no one's learning how to drive manual anymore. And it can be a pro or con. I definitely like that, but to a lot of people, they'll see it as a con, because this, you know, if you're trying to learn manual, I would not recommend this car. Yeah. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please leave a like, comment, and make sure you subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you in the next one.